Hey guys, how's it going? So right now we're looking at the PTRS-41, and I got somewhat of a message or request on this in the comments section of one of my other videos, so I figure I would do a video on this gun, considering how amazing it actually is. So this right here is the standard PTRS-41. You can build it in the chemistry station, and this is what it looks like when you first build it. Just going off the base stats, we have 252 damage, and this weapon takes a different ammunition type. It actually takes 14.5 millimeter, which is actually larger than a 50 cal. And as for the range, it's pretty much the highest in the game by far. The highest I saw in vanilla was around 243 on the laser musket, and the weight is an astounding 33.7 pounds, which is actually heavier than a minigun. So needless to say, we're starting off with a beast of a weapon, but it actually gets even better than that because there are tons and tons of mods for this weapon. And when I say tons, I mean literally hundreds of combinations, and you can change everything about this weapon. So I'm just going to go through some of the attachments and give you guys a taste of what is here and what you can really do with this weapon. Now starting out with the receivers, you'll see I have the standard receiver, and it actually, like I said before, has 252 base damage, which is the lowest it goes, I'm pretty sure, and you just go up from there. The one exception to that is the automatic receiver, and yes, you can have this thing be automatic. You see it increases the fire rate to 27, and you can hold down the trigger, and this thing continually fires. So like with other weapons in Fallout, when you make it automatic versus semi-automatic, the damage does take a dip, but that's because you can just shoot faster and it's kind of leveling out the DPS. But you guys probably know that already. Now moving down the list, you'll see we have some pretty familiar receivers. A lot of them you would find on something like a combat rifle, or at least a similar name like these. Now the best one for semi-automatic is the advanced receiver, and we're actually having 372 damage total just with that receiver equipped. And for the automatic receivers, you'll see we actually get 190 damage per shot with a rate of fire of 45. Moving on to the barrels, we have the World War II style barrel right now, but you actually start out with a CQC barrel at the top here. And something I found really cool is you actually have different colors associated with the barrels. So you have black, copper, and stainless steel. And I think those are the only three, but basically you can have different colors on different styles of barrels. And you'll see right here, the iron sight at the end actually goes away. So between the colors and the changes here, there's tons and tons of combinations. And as we move down the list, you'll see that the CQC barrel is the only barrel that actually fits on the screen, so if we come across a cool one, I'll try and rotate the weapon so you can see. And these last four right here are some of the coolest ones. You have a fluted barrel, so it's actually fluted all the way through on the outside, which has a really cool effect on it. You also have a heavy barrel, which doesn't really have any particular look to it, but it increases your range substantially up to 515. You have the marksman's barrel, which actually increases the range even further to a high point of 563. And then you have the shielded heavy barrel, which I think is my personal favorite. It kind of gives me the vibe of the M1919 heavy machine gun, which is a 50 caliber. That's a really old weapon, but if you know it, you'll know what I'm talking about in terms of the barrel style. So moving on to the stocks, you actually have a short stock, which is essentially a hand grip. You'll see there's no actual stock on it. The wood stock comes on standard, and the next one is a wood stock with reverse handle. And you might not notice the difference, but just look at the handle at the middle of the gun. It just changes position. And it's these kind of small details that continue to amaze me with this mod. The modder really put in a lot of hard work and unique details into these weapons, and it really makes it a lot more fun to use these attachments. Some of the cooler looking ones are the recoil compensating stock. You'll see it gets a bit more modern, and as we go down further, you'll see we actually have a rail mount added in. And of course we have different combinations, some with the old style stock, some with the new, with the addition of the rail mount. And you actually have some with a ammo holder on the side, so let's see if we can look at that. So yeah, you'll see right here on the right side, you actually have ammo belted onto your stock, which has a really cool look to it, and it's actually visible when you, I think, reload, or maybe it's just visible when you're holding the weapon. Now onto the magazines. This is where it gets pretty interesting. You start out with the standard ammo box, which is essentially a small hatch. If you're familiar with the PTRS, this was one of the unique features of the weapon. You have a quick eject ammo box, which is just a small magazine with the same ammo capacity, but you also have a drum magazine. And this is what I like about this mod, is you'll have attachments you never thought possible on a sniper rifle like this. So if we get a side view here, you can see it's a massive, almost like an LMG drum magazine. However, it gets even better because you have a dual drum magazine with an ammo capacity of 40 rounds. And this one right here reminds me a lot of a MG36 drum magazine. That's just what it looks like to me, but I can't imagine holding 40 14.5mm rounds. Even if you had a fully automatic receiver, you still wouldn't have to reload for minutes on end. And you also have some large ammo box magazines with the quick eject variants here. Now as for sights, you obviously start out with iron sights, and you have the addition of many of the common sights such as the short, medium, and long range scopes, as well as the night vision and recon scopes. But actually with the sights, you don't really see the full picture until you actually change the foregrip, which is located under the bipod slot. And so you can see we actually have the choice between a laser sight and bipod combo here. You have variations of the bipod open or closed, which is really nice. Talking about that detail again, there's just different variations of every combination here. So now that we have a rail mount to use, we actually have different options for our sights now. So in addition to having the short, medium, and long range scopes, for example, we actually have hollow sights and PKAS sights as well. And another small detail is the recon scopes are actually just regular scopes with an electronic device in front of them, which is different than what they were without the rail mount. Now as for the barrel attachments, you start out with a standard muzzle brake. This is the one that just comes on the PTRS-41. But if we explore the options here, you'll see we actually have a triple chamber muzzle brake. And I have to say, I haven't seen anything quite like this before. It has a really awesome look to it. We have a PTRD style muzzle brake, light muzzle brake, which is kind of like the one we see in the vanilla game, and the cord style muzzle brake looks a lot like a one on a Barrett 50 cal. If we rotate it here, you can see what it actually looks like. And I think this is my personal favorite, so we're going to go ahead and equip that one. You also have 3 bayonet choices. You have a regular bayonet, which is simply a combat knife. You have a large bayonet, which is essentially a small sword or a machete. And you have something called a halberd head, which is a really strange bayonet, but it actually comes with a compensator as well. So you'll see it's like a combination of the large bayonet, a compensator, and then some kind of blade here. Not really sure. Nevertheless, it is very cool though. And last but not least, you can't have a sniper without a suppressor, and we actually have a regular suppressor and a compensated suppressor. And this one has a compensator on the end of it. And this is something I've also never seen before. Just in case you were wondering, the material has the black or green receiver and mag color, which is just a slight change. And this is the cool part. You can actually change what your ammo does. So obviously we have the high explosive incendiary armor piercing round, which is a mouthful right there. And if this is our standard bullet, you know things are going to get pretty crazy. You can, of course, divide those up into high explosive or armor piercing individually. You have FMJ and lots of different combinations here. I'm not going to read them, but I do want to say the prototype tandem bullet is something that caught my eye. If we read the description, it says shoots an additional projectile, which is like the 2-shot perk, and it has a chance to stagger on hit, which is like the legendary effect that staggers the enemy too. So this has a combination of 2 legendary perks smashed into one modification for this weapon. You also have a silver bullet, which I thought was unique. It does 50% more damage to ghouls. Napalm incendiary, depleted uranium. This one adds ballistic and radiation damage to your shot. Prototype armor piercing EMP. This adds energy damage as well as ballistic damage. No doubt this is for people with power armor or robots in general. You also have cryo explosive, heat MP, and another very unique one is the self-guided ammunition, and I haven't done a test on this yet because I'm lacking gun nut rank 4, but this would be really interesting to see what it actually has in store for this weapon. I'm not sure if it just doesn't let you miss or it heat seats your target, but this would be very cool to find out what it does. And the last two, we have a tandem heat MP bullet, which actually has a damage of 572. This is nearly on par with the Fat Man. And keep in mind, this thing can be fired in fully automatic, so, you know, this gun is very well overpowered. And the last one is a plasma shape charge, which has energy damage and a little addition to ballistic damage. And unrelated to this mod, I actually have a mod called UCO, which adds the ability to add a legendary effect on a weapon. So basically, if you click this, you can, let's say we have a 2-shot perk, we can actually add the 2-shot perk directly onto this weapon. And what I want to test is if we have the tandem bullet and the 2-shot perk at the same time. I want to figure out if this gun would shoot 4 bullets with a single trigger pull. I think that would be one of the most interesting things that we might see in Fallout 4. Alright, so this is the weapon we just modded out right here. You can see this is what it looks like. I still have the CQC barrel on it, but it actually looks really cool. And I also, as you can see right here, have another version. This is one I made earlier, and it's modded completely differently. So we have the shielded heavy barrel, which is the extremely long version. This weapon is gotta be 6, 7, 8 feet long. It looks ridiculous when you hold it with your character, but this one is a very cool looking weapon as well. And I did chamber it so it's fully automatic. So you guys will see that in action. Alright, so here is the first person view of the weapon that we modded out together. Here's what it is in third person. Now let's do a quick test fire. Alright, taking a look at the other weapon that I modded earlier. There is one downside, however, to the fully automatic, and that's that you can't keep the gun down once you're firing. It has so much recoil that it's only really useful within VATS. Another point I have to add is the animations and the overall look of the weapon, as well as the 3D model, is just outstanding. You can tell the mod creator did as much as he or she could to make this gun feel like it belongs in the game and run as smoothly as possible. Alright, so now that we've taken a quick look at the weapon, let's go fight some enemies. Alright guys, well that was my review of the PTRS-41 in Fallout 4. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And I just want to reiterate how nice this model looks and how fun this gun is to use in-game. It really is just a dream come true for anybody who loves sniper rifles. So once again guys, hopefully you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss any other videos like this, where I review modded weapons. I have a long list of great modded weapons in Fallout 4, so I do plan to do a lot more of these videos. And as always, thanks for watching.
Got a doll baby, I love her so. Nothing else like her anywhere you go. A man, she's anything but